Before any reality changes, a part of you must dissolve. Before light appears, the darkness within you must collapse on its own. This is not a punishment from the universe, but an energetic recalibration process encoded into the very structure of consciousness, an immutable law where nothing can change on the physical plane unless it has first been restructured on the quantum level. The universe does not react with emotion. It operates as a perfect quantum system, precise, neutral, and absolutely fair. Every frequency you emit is recorded. Not a single vibration is ever lost. When you desire a new reality, you are not sending a plea outward, but transmitting a signal into the quantum field, the realm where all possibilities exist simultaneously, waiting to be activated by the corresponding vibration. And before that field responds, you must be reconfigured from within, for a new reality cannot manifest upon an old frequency. Every loss, every collapse, every moment you feel pushed into emptiness is not a punishment, but a process of quantum wave collapse, when old probabilities are withdrawn from the space of reality to make room for a new frequency. The world you live in is the reflection of the ego you carry, and that ego is built from beliefs, memories, wounds, limitations, fragments of energy you once mistook for yourself. When you begin to desire change, the universe understands that a part of this structure must die, and thus it activates its immutable law, the protocol of energetic restructuring, beginning with the dissolution of all that is no longer compatible. But the ego will resist. It hates uncertainty. It fears the void. When new consciousness begins to emerge, the old self senses its extinction and does everything to pull you back, creating doubt, chaos, loss, making you think you are going the wrong way. Yet, in that very chaos, the first quantum measurement is made. The universe does not test your faith in a religious sense, but measures the stability of the energy field you are transmitting. You say you have changed, but is your vibration stable while everything is falling apart? You say you have entered the frequency of abundance, but when money leaves, do you still hold the vibration of sufficiency, or do you revert to fear? This is the unavoidable test, not meant to punish, but to ensure you have become a signal the universe can synchronize with. For the nature of the universe is not reward or punishment, but vibrational reflection. It does not listen to your words. It reads the frequency you maintain. If fear exists in your heart, you are broadcasting fear, and the quantum field responds with an image of that very frequency. If you maintain stillness, even when the world collapses, you become a fixed point of consciousness, where surrounding energies begin to self-organize. And at that moment, reality begins to change, not because you force it, but because the universe cannot do otherwise. It must reflect the new state you have become. That is why before every quantum leap, life seems to fall apart. Relationships end, opportunities disappear, old paths close abruptly, not because you are wrong, but because the old energy is withdrawing to make space for the new structure. What you call crisis, loss, loneliness, is in fact a sign that the field is functioning perfectly. When old energy dissolves, you feel it as pain, for the body and mind are losing their familiar zone. But on a deeper level, every atom within you is rearranging to align with your new essence. This is the process of recalibration, the vibrational tuning to synchronize with the frequency you have requested. The universe always demands coherence among three levels of energy: thought, emotion, and belief. When these three are in phase, reality reflects almost instantly. But when one is out of alignment, energy becomes distorted. You desire one thing, feel another, and believe the opposite. In that dissonance, the quantum field cannot form a stable reality. The universe's test is designed to bring you back into this coherence, forcing you to face old beliefs, unexpressed emotions, and fragments of memory that cause your frequency to fluctuate. Each time you choose to face instead of run, the oscillation within you becomes clearer, and new energetic waves begin to stabilize. See collapse through quantumize. It is not an ending, but a purification of vibration. When you can maintain awareness amidst chaos, you no longer react emotionally, but observe energetically. In that moment, you transcend the ego's survival reflex and step into the space of the observer, where all phenomena are merely movements of energy within the infinite field. When you become the observer, you are no longer dragged by vibration, but can navigate it. And it is that silence, the silence of awareness, that the universe recognizes as a command to initiate a new reality. This is the immutable law of the universe. Every external change must begin with an internal dissolution. Every time you think you are losing, you are actually being reshaped. Every time you feel rejected, the field is in fact removing frequencies incompatible with the new self you are becoming. This quantum system has no errors, no deviation. It functions with absolute precision, like gravity or light. You do not need to beg it, you only need to synchronize with it. When you understand this, your entire perception of life changes. You no longer ask, why is this happening to me? But whisper, at which level is the universe restructuring me? And in that understanding, you stop resisting, for resistance only amplifies the vibration, prolonging the collapse. But when you release, accept, and maintain the frequency of trust, the quantum field immediately recognizes you as a stable signal and begins reflecting that frequency into physical form. Challenges do not come to block you, but to verify that you have truly become the frequency you desire. And once the verification is complete, the universe no longer needs to test you. The new reality emerges as a natural consequence. Everything you seek begins to seek you, not by miracle, but through the quantum synchronization between your being and the structure of the universe. Remember, light never has to fight darkness. It merely needs to be present, and darkness disappears by physical law. Likewise, you do not need to prove anything to the world. You only need to maintain the clarity of your own state. When your frequency stabilizes, the surrounding field must reorganize to reflect it. That is how all realities are formed, not through effort, but through resonance. Therefore, if your life now feels unstable, if you feel you are losing control, pause and breathe deeply. You are not being destroyed, you are being decoded. The universe is clearing outdated versions to prepare for a higher frequency one. Do not cling to what is dissolving, let it go. For within that empty space, a new energetic pattern is forming, and it will carry you into the reality you have always belonged to. This is the immutable law of the universe, where every ending is but the reverse side of a beginning, where inner death is the initiation of a new being, and where the only thing the universe ever awaits from you is perfect alignment between stillness, faith, and inner light. And from this point we realize another truth. Reality does not come to you, it emerges from within you. Everything you see, touch, hear, or call the world does not exist independently of you. It is merely a sophisticated projection of consciousness, an image reflected from the frequency you are emitting in the present moment. When you look into a mirror, you cannot change the reflection by touching its surface. You can only change your own expression. Reality works the same way. You cannot reshape the world through external actions if the inner vibration remains on the same old rhythm. That is the quantum projection principle. The projection principle, where every phenomenon is shaped by your own vibrational blueprint. You do not attract anything. You emit yourself. The universe is not a stage where you are the audience, you are simultaneously the writer, the actor, and the light illuminating the scene. Everything you call my life is merely the light of consciousness passing through the prism of belief, habit, and emotional frequency. When that light is clear, the world reflects harmony. When it is clouded by fear and limitation, reality becomes distorted. Therefore, if you find yourself repeating a cycle, loss, pain, disappointment, do not look outward for the cause. Look into the signal you are transmitting, because reality can only respond precisely to what it receives from you. In quantum physics, every particle exists in a state of probability until there is an observer. The act of observation collapses the wave of possibilities and turns it into reality. In life, this principle operates at the level of consciousness. When you hold an image in your mind and repeat it with strong emotion, you are continuously observing a specific possibility until it collapses into manifestation. Every thought is not just an idea, it is an energetic pulse emitted into the quantum field. Every emotion is a vibrational code, and when repeated long enough, they form a stable interference field where energy crystallizes into physical form. The problem is most people live in an unconscious state. They emit millions of contradictory signals every day without realizing it. One moment they say they believe in success, the next moment they fear failure. In the language of energy, that is like sending out two opposite phase waves that cancel each other out. The result is that your reality remains stagnant or repeats old patterns. When you do not consciously emit a signal, the automatic system, the subconscious, will do it for you based on past data. Therefore, you do not attract what you want. You attract what you are, more precisely, what your subconscious believes to be true. Reality reflects not by words, but by resonance. If within you there is a phase mismatch between thought and emotion, the quantum field will respond to the strongest frequency. And in most cases, that is fear. You may say, I want peace. But if your heart contracts each time you face uncertainty, the quantum field records the frequency of unrest and sends you more situations of unrest to maintain coherence. This is not punishment. It is the precise feedback of the reflection protocol. You cannot deceive the universe with words or actions. It reads you as a composition of energy. Each thought is a note. Each emotion is a rhythm, and the entire song resounds in the infinite field. When the composition is out of tune, the outer sound becomes chaotic. When the rhythm harmonizes, reality begins to sing with you. All ancient sages have said the same thing in different forms. As within, so without. As above, so below. That is not a metaphor, it is the operational code of reality. This means you cannot change the world by controlling others, forcing circumstances, or chasing goals. Because action is merely the reaction of energy, not the cause. To change reality, you must change the root frequency. When the frequency changes, action naturally aligns without effort. Just like tuning a radio, you do not create the song, you simply choose the right frequency. The reality you desire already exists somewhere within this infinite space, waiting only for you to synchronize. But synchronization cannot be faked. You cannot say, I believe, while deep down you still doubt. You cannot pretend to be grateful while inside you are still angry. The quantum field does not read language, it reads vibration. Pretending carries a distorted frequency, while genuine faith emits a coherent, calm, and powerful wave. That is why Before a new reality appears, the universe must test the authenticity of that frequency. It sends you opposite circumstances, not to block you, but to see whether you still oscillate as before. If you can maintain the new frequency, even when everything around you shakes, it means you have passed the test, and reality must adjust accordingly. From a scientific perspective, this is the process of resonance calibration. When two frequencies are incompatible, they create chaotic vibration. But when you remain steady in the new frequency, your wave gradually synchronizes with the wave of the field and the energies begin to merge. At that moment, people, events, and opportunities carrying the same vibrational code naturally find their way to you without effort. You call it luck, destiny, miracle, but in truth, it is simply the physics of synchronization. What is called attraction is merely the old language for this phenomenon. Nothing is being pulled toward you from outside. Everything is being emitted from within. You are the broadcasting center in an ocean of energy. All realities exist as possibilities, and when you hold a frequency long enough, the corresponding possibility collapses into tangible form. That is the moment you meet it in the physical world. Understanding this, you will no longer try to make it happen. You only need to become the frequency that it requires. When you want peace, vibrate as peace. When you want love, vibrate as love. When you want prosperity, live as though you already have it all. Because in the quantum realm, the universe does not recognize future or past. It only reads the vibrational state of the present moment. And if in the present you vibrate as someone who already has, already is, and is already enough, the returning wave can do nothing but synchronize with you. That is how you create reality, not through effort, but through the transparency of presence. Reality is not something that comes after action, but the shadow of the frequency you are emitting. Pause for a moment and feel everything around you today, the people, situations, emotions, even the words you are hearing are reflections of you at the quantum level. No one is doing anything to you. Everything is happening through you. And when you understand that power returns, you are no longer a victim of the world, but the one who illuminates it. Therefore, do not ask, how do I attract what I want? Ask instead, what am I emitting? Because that answer is the map of the entire reality you are living. And when the frequency changes, the world changes with it, not from the outside in, but from the inside out. That is the second law of quantum awakening, the projection principle, where you do not beg the universe to grant you anything. You simply become the very frequency the universe cannot help but reflect. When you begin to shift your frequency, the universe instantly recognizes it, not through words, but through the subtle movement in the energetic structure emitted from you. And almost immediately it activates a process that every ancient tradition has known, yet few truly understand. The calibration process, the mechanism through which the universe verifies. This is the stage where most people lose faith because they think everything is turning against them. But the truth is the opposite. This is the moment when the universe confirms that your frequency has become stable enough to create a new reality. In quantum physics, when two different frequencies coexist within a field, they create an interference pattern, a region of unstable waves where old and new energies collide. Your body, your mind, and your surroundings are all layers of such interference. When you choose a higher version of yourself, the entire energetic structure must be recalibrated. This recalibration does not occur smoothly because the old energy is deeply ingrained, clinging to your cells, memories, habits, and even your neural network. Therefore, when the new frequency is activated, conflict appears as a natural consequence. You begin to feel that everything becomes unfamiliar. Relationships that once felt comfortable turn tense. Opportunities that once opened easily suddenly close. And within your inner self, once seemingly peaceful, rise many voices of resistance. This is not a sign of failure, but proof that the calibration process has begun. The universe does not test your faith like a deity testing a believer. It only wants to know, is the frequency you have chosen real, or is it just a temporary emotional reaction? The calibration mechanism of the universe functions like an energetic quality inspection. When you emit a new signal, the quantum field will send back seemingly opposing situations, not to make you doubt, but to measure the stability of that frequency in reality. And if you declare that you have released fear, the universe will place you in a situation that triggers that very fear, not to punish you, but so you can see the part of the energy that has not yet been freed. If you say that you believe in abundance, you will face financial emptiness to reveal whether that belief has true roots or not. Each test is designed with absolute precision because the quantum field never makes a mistake. It only reflects the gap between the frequency you think you are emitting and the frequency that truly exists within. When you react with anger or despair, the old energy is still dominant. But when you observe in silence, when you can stand within chaos without losing your center, the waves begin to synchronize. It is that silence, not action, not effort, that signals you have entered the true stage of calibration. Understanding this mechanism, you will realize that no event in your life is random. Every time you are challenged, it is a quantum measurement where the universe observes how you respond to determine whether you are still resonating with the old frequency or not. If you react the same way, the signal sent to the field is unchanged and reality remains the same. But if you respond differently, calmer, clearer, lighter, the field understands that you have shifted into a new frequency and old structures immediately begin to collapse. Each new reaction is an update command, and when enough commands are sent, your energetic system will be completely reset. This calibration mechanism operates on 3 levels: physical, emotional, and conscious. On the physical level, your body reacts first. You may feel tired, tense, or experience sudden shifts in energy. This is the electromagnetic release within your cells as old energy is pushed out to make room for new vibrations. On the emotional level, you encounter situations that activate old wounds so you can see them, accept them, and let them go. On the level of consciousness, you begin to observe yourself, realizing that the one who is hurt is only a role within the field of experience. When all 3 levels rebalance simultaneously, your frequency becomes transparent and reality begins to move. Interestingly, most people stop midway through this process. They feel everything collapsing and assume they are failing, so they return to their old frequency, and thus the test repeats. The universe does not punish them through repetition. It has simply not yet received a stable signal confirming that they have truly changed. Just as in physics, if oscillations have not yet reached resonance stability, the system continues vibrating until equilibrium is achieved. And that equilibrium appears only when you stop fighting, stop trying to prove, stop seeking shortcuts, and instead begin to accept the entire process as a sacred measurement. Therefore, each time life seems to be against you, ask yourself, what within me is being tested? When someone hurts you, perhaps the universe is measuring whether you still react from an old wound. When an opportunity disappears, perhaps it is asking, do you still believe your worth depends on success? Each of those questions does not require a verbal answer, but a peaceful presence. When you do not react, you send a clear signal that the old energy no longer controls you. And At that moment, the quantum field marks you as a new signal and begins reconstructing reality around you. It is important to understand that this calibration process is never meant to hurt you. It is designed to prepare you for higher frequencies. Just as an instrument must be tuned before performance, your soul must be finely adjusted to resonate with the greater symphony of the universe. If the string is loose, the sound will be off. If your heart still vibrates with fear, your frequency cannot yet hold the light you are calling in. Therefore, the test is not an obstacle, it is a rebalancing ritual that ensures you are stable enough to carry the new energy into physical form. Once you see every challenge through this lens, fear disappears. You no longer ask, "Why is this happening to me?" but gently smile. The universe is measuring my frequency. You begin to sense infinite intelligence in every event, every encounter, every failure. Each event is a precise measurement. Each emotion is data that the quantum field collects to perfect you. And when enough data is gathered, the system confirms stabilized. That is the moment your new frequency is registered in the field and reality begins to reflect it instantly. Thus, the calibration process of the universe is not a series of random obstacles, but the self-balancing system of consciousness. It ensures that only when you truly become the compatible version, reality is allowed to appear. Because if you receive what you desire before you are ready, you will not be able to sustain it. Your frequency will destabilize the structure that has just formed. So trust the vibrations. Allow everything to oscillate, to dissolve, to reorganize. Let the universe do its work to calibrate you so that you can resonate with the highest version of yourself. And when the calibration completes, when the interference waves settle, you will feel a profound stillness. No more resistance, no more seeking, only the knowing that you and the universe were never separate. In that moment, the test ends and the door of true transformation opens. From here, you no longer fear the tests because you understand that every challenge is only the echo of the very energy you are becoming. And that is when the calibration process is complete, when you no longer need to be proven because you have become the living proof of the frequency the universe is reflecting. Every transformation in the universe follows a mysterious yet absolutely precise order. Nothing happens. Everything is programmed by frequency. When you understand how the universe organizes energy, you realize that every phenomenon, from the birth of a star to the awakening of a human being, operates under the same set of laws. These laws cannot be bent by desire, belief, or prayer. They only respond to quantum coherence between what you think, feel, and become. These are the three quantum laws of transformation, the foundation of all awakening, all miracles, all leaps of consciousness. The first law, the quantum mirror law, the universe is a vast mirror that reflects precisely the energetic structure within you. You do not attract anything, you simply project the frequency of yourself. Reality has no choice. It cannot send you a reflection different from the frequency you are emitting. When you vibrate in fear, it reflects fear. When you oscillate in love, it reflects love. Every relationship, circumstance, and opportunity in your life is a three-dimensional image of your inner energy field. In other words, others do not treat you according to their will. They merely play the role written by the frequency you emit. The universe does not listen to prayers, it reads you in light. Therefore, instead of trying to change the reflection, adjust the source. When you stand before a mirror and see your face frown, you cannot fix the mirror, you must relax your own expression. Likewise, if you see chaos in your life, do not resist it. See it as a signal showing where your energy is misaligned. Every problem is a distortion of reflection. Once you change the root vibration, the outer image automatically adjusts. That is why one with a luminous heart still perceives light in dark circumstances, while one who carries shadow creates chaos wherever they go. Reality is not independent. It is the mirror of the observer's consciousness. The second law, the law of vibrational incompatibility, you cannot exist within a reality whose frequency you do not share. This is the most fundamental law of the universe, and the reason why many people cannot hold on to what they once had. When someone vibrating in the frequency of lack suddenly receives abundance, it feels as though they are being forced to breathe different air. The internal energetic mechanism has not yet adapted, so they lose it. Not because of misfortune, but because their frequency is not yet compatible with the new reality. Everything in the universe functions through resonance. Two distinct frequencies cannot coexist stably in one space. If you are vibrating in fear, you cannot step into the reality of peace. If you nurture the energy of resentment, you cannot sustain a loving relationship. When frequencies are incompatible, new energy is repelled or dissolves. Thus, every true transformation begins with restructuring the inner frequency, not by striving to achieve something, but by becoming the one who can naturally sustain it. Imagine you are a musical instrument. Each emotion, each belief is a string. If the string is out of tune, the sound will be distorted. You can try to play the melody of love, but if your strings vibrate in the frequency of pain, the sound you produce will only be sorrow. The world hears your music and responds in the same tone. That is why, to receive something, you must become the corresponding melody. When you truly reach resonance, you no longer need to attract anything. You and it become one. The third law, the ego death protocol. Every true transformation requires the death of the old ego. No exceptions. The ego is not the enemy, but an energetic structure formed from the past, from memories, wounds, successes, fears, and the image of me. It was created to help you survive, but it prevents you from evolving. When you call upon a higher frequency, freedom, abundance, love, the ego perceives it as a threat, for it knows it cannot exist in that energetic environment. Therefore, it begins to fight back, creating doubt, fear, procrastination, and coincidental situations that pull you back to old habits. The death of the ego does not occur in a glorious moment. It is a series of times you choose silence instead of reaction, acceptance instead of control, release instead of holding on. Each such choice is a small cut into the ego until it completely dissolves, revealing the true essence, pure consciousness. Only then can your frequency hold higher energy. For the universe cannot pour light into a vessel still filled with shadow. Understanding these three laws, you will see that everything in life has order. When you react to reality, you are forgetting the mirror law, forgetting that it is only reflection. When you try to hold on to something not meant for you, you are violating the law of incompatibility, forcing two frequencies that cannot resonate. And when you fear the collapse of the old, you are resisting the ego death protocol, denying the necessary process of rebirth. These three laws cannot be memorized, they must be lived through. When you begin to observe yourself in every reaction, every emotion, every decision, you will see them operating everywhere. Every time you feel anger, it is the mirror reflecting. Every time something leaves you, it is vibrational incompatibility. Every time you feel pain, it is the ego dissolving. Everything is functioning perfectly, as long as you pause long enough to see the structure beneath. And when you live in that awareness, something miraculous happens. Reality becomes transparent. No more mystery, no more randomness, no more fear. You begin to feel the universe as a vast living organism in which you are a cell awakening to itself. Every vibration, every event, every encounter is a signal from the system, constantly helping you balance, expand, and return to your inherent perfection. The three quantum laws of transformation are not mere philosophy. They are the source code of creation. When you understand and live in harmony with them, you no longer need to control life because you become the very principle by which it operates. You become the mirror, the frequency, and the consciousness. From that point, everything you touch carries light, and everywhere you go becomes a reflection of the divinity awakening within you. That is the point where knowledge turns into experience, where the human becomes energy, and where I dissolves into the universe. From here, the true journey begins, the journey across the bridge of incidence, where all old probabilities collapse to form a new reality. And upon that bridge, you will no longer ask, when will it happen? Because you will already know that it is happening in the very moment you become the frequency of it. Every process of transformation requires a bridge. Between the old world that is dissolving and the new reality that is forming, there always exists an interference zone where two frequencies overlap, creating oscillations that those who do not understand will call chaos. In quantum language, that zone is called the bridge of incidence. This is the place where the universe no longer reflects your old version, but has not yet begun to reflect the new one. You are in between, belonging to neither side, suspended between what has died and what is being born. This is the stage where most people give up because they cannot endure the emptiness, the loss of direction, the sense of meaninglessness. Yet it is precisely here that every true miracle begins. The quantum bridge is not a physical road. It is a sequence of seemingly random events that appear after you change your frequency. These events are not created to confuse you, but to connect two versions of you through gradual transitions, just enough for the old consciousness to dissolve and the new one to stabilize. Neville Goddard called this the bridge of incidence. When you affirm something within I am, I have, I already am, the universe begins to arrange billions of probabilities to reflect that new state. But before you reach the other shore, the old energy must be dismantled. And that dismantling process is exactly the series of incidents you are about to face. Imagine yourself as a shifting frequency. As you raise your vibration, the energetic structures around you, people, work, habits, begin to tremble, for they are no longer compatible. Some things leave, some are pushed away, some shatter. It feels like chaos, but in truth it is the reorganization of the quantum field. Each event occurs not randomly, but precisely arranged to push you through each vibrational tier. You call it losing your job, breaking up, or crisis, but the universe calls it course correction. The special thing about this bridge is that you cannot see the whole of it. The universe never shows you the entire path, because if you could see it, you would try to control it, and control is the act of the ego, the very thing meant to dissolve. The bridge reveals itself step by step, corresponding to each frequency you can maintain. When you hold trust, the next step appears. When you doubt, the bridge disappears. Therefore, crossing the quantum bridge is not done through effort, but through conscious surrender. During this stage, you may experience many paradoxes. You seek prosperity, yet lose money. You long for love, yet find yourself alone. You strive for health, yet your body weakens. These are not signs of misdirection. They are recalibration responses. The quantum field is testing the stability of your new frequency. Each circumstance is a vibrational exam. Can you maintain faith when everything seems contrary? Can you believe in the light when you cannot see it yet? If you remain in the chosen state, peace, trust, gratitude, the old waves dissolve faster and the bridge draws nearer to the other shore. But if you fall back into fear, doubt, or anger, you walk backward, returning to the old reality. There is no punishment here, only quantum feedback. The universe does not judge, it reflects. Each emotion, Each choice is a signal confirming your frequency. The more stable your vibration, the faster events align, the smoother the bridge becomes, and you cross with fewer collisions. Conversely, the stronger the oscillation, the longer the journey. Most people do not understand this mechanism, so when the bridge begins to shake, they think they are on the wrong path. They hurry back to the old shore, believing it to be safety. But that safety is only the illusion of memory. The old no longer exists. You are merely clinging to a frequency that has died. Meanwhile, the new is waiting on the other side. But it requires one thing only. You must believe before you have proof. Believe not with the mind, but with frequency. True faith does not need affirmation. It is the absolute stillness of consciousness, where you know that the universe is working through you, not against you. On the quantum bridge, everything reverses. What you once called failure becomes the path to success. What you thought was loss becomes the space for the new to enter. The old self sees disaster, the new consciousness sees restructuring, but when you hold this perspective, everything in life becomes data, not threat. Every situation is a line of code updating itself, and all you must do is observe as the system completes its rewrite. One of the most powerful signs that you are crossing the bridge is the appearance of synchronicities, meaningful coincidences. When your frequency stabilizes, the universe begins sending confirmation signals, repeating numbers, chance meetings, a random word from someone, an opportunity arriving at the perfect moment. This is how the quantum field communicates. It says, you are on the right path, keep going. These signs are not rewards, but vibrational evidence. They show you are close to the other shore, where the old frequency fully collapses and the new reality begins to crystallize. But before you reach it, there is always a final inversion point, the final collapse. This is the moment when everything seems to break. Plans fail, people turn away, strength runs out. Nothing is wrong. This is the last collapse of the old energy, designed to force you to release every remaining attachment. If you can stand firm in that dark night, if you can say, I am still the frequency of light, you cross over. Immediately after, the quantum field reorganizes and doors you never imagined begin to open effortlessly. The most important thing when crossing this bridge is do not try to understand. The ego wants to explain, but the soul only wants to experience. You cannot analyze a miracle with logic. You can only align with it through presence. Whenever you feel out of control, breathe deeply and remind yourself, the bridge is working. Let everything unfold, for the bridge is perfectly designed to carry you to the right place at the right time with the right people. You simply must not jump off midway. When you look back after crossing to the other side, you will understand everything that happened was necessary. No event was misplaced. No person arrived at the wrong time. Every fracture, every fall, every long silence was a perfect link in the bridge that connected you to your new self. And you will smile in gratitude, realizing that the universe never tested you. It was only guiding you home to the place where your frequency finally aligns completely with the light you have always carried in your heart. After you cross the quantum bridge, something extraordinary happens. The world no longer reacts the way it used to. The people who once hurt you no longer affect you. The situations that once frightened you suddenly lose their meaning. Everything seems to occur in the same space, yet its frequency is changed. You begin to realize that you have not merely passed through a stage. You have been completely restructured on the quantum level. This is the stage where the universe no longer measures you, but begins to synchronize with you. This stage is called quantum recalibration, Sir Tai Lupton. So recalibration is not a process you perform, but a natural phenomenon that occurs when you maintain a new vibration long enough. Each time you hold faith amidst chaos, each time you choose peace in the storm, each time you feel gratitude even in lack, you are transmitting a stable signal into the quantum field. When that signal reaches sustainable resonance, your entire energetic system, from mind, emotion to physical cells, begins to synchronize with that frequency. This is the point where reality no longer resists you, because you and it have become the same wave. In physics, this phenomenon is called entrainment, the synchronization of oscillations. When one object vibrates at a steady frequency, other objects nearby naturally adjust to match its rhythm. The universe operates exactly the same way. When your energy becomes coherent, the world around you cannot help but align. The people who resonate will naturally appear. The opportunities that correspond will manifest simultaneously. There is no miracle here, only the refined feedback of physics. However, this process does not occur overnight. It requires steadiness of consciousness, not perfection, but continual return. Each time you are pulled down, simply return to your center, the still point of awareness. Each time you choose to observe instead of react, you strengthen the new frequency. Every small act like this is a save pressed into your energy structure, causing the quantum field to record you as a new signal. That is how you gradually stabilize in a higher vibrational state. Recalibration also expresses itself through the body. You may feel tired, lightheaded, or disoriented, because your cells are learning to oscillate within a different amplitude. This is the fever of evolution. Do not resist it. Rest, breathe, and allow energy to move. Your body is the conduit between two worlds, the material and the quantum. When you change vibration, the body needs time to balance electromagnetically. Every symptom is simply a sign that you are being restructured. On the psychological level, you begin to lose interest in what once felt familiar. Meaningless conversations, old habits, shallow desires start to fall away. This is not indifference. It is frequency purification. As your energy becomes more refined, incompatible vibrations naturally separate. You do not need to let go of anyone. The universe will do it for you through resonance. And in that empty space, the new begins to flow in, not through effort, but through the natural attraction of compatibility. But the most miraculous aspect of recalibration lies in awareness itself. You realize that the world never comes to you, it responds from you. Every event, every person, every emotion, all are waves reflecting from the field of energy you are transmitting. When you are in a state of stillness, without judgment, reality becomes transparent. You begin to see each stream of energy moving like codes of light. When something appears, you no longer ask why, but simply smile and recognize, this is the field's response. That realization is the sign that you are completely synchronized. Another manifestation of this stage is synchronicities. Intentional coincidences appearing frequently. You think of someone and they call you. You need an opportunity and it shows up through an unexpected doorway. You see repeating numbers, familiar symbols, subtle reminders from the universe. None of this is random. It is the language of coherence. When you and the quantum field oscillate at the same frequency, communication between the two becomes seamless. You no longer need to ask the universe. You hear it, not through words, but through intuition, the clear sense that everything is moving precisely, even if you cannot explain it logically. This is also the stage where belief transforms into knowing. You no longer struggle to believe that things will be fine. You know they are fine because you can feel the field in motion. You feel the heartbeat of the universe in every moment, and each of your actions becomes a subtle collaboration with its flow. There is no longer a separation between me and the universe. There is only one vibration, life becoming aware of itself through you. In this recalibration, you will also experience stillness, periods where nothing seems to happen. This is the calm after the wave, where the old energy is completed and the new is forming. Most people fear this silence, so they rush to fill it with activity, plans, and goals. But the awakened one remains still, because in that silence, the universe is rewriting your DNA, reshaping your perception, intuition, and the way you interact with reality. Every time you are silent, you allow the system to stabilize one layer deeper. Recalibration is also when you learn to use energy consciously. You realize that every word, glance, or thought is a vibrational code being broadcast. You begin to speak slower, listen deeper, feel before reacting. Stillness becomes your creative tool, and you create not through effort, but through presence. You understand that action is only the final stage of a chain of vibrations that begins with energy. Therefore, you begin to act not to achieve something, but to express what you have already become. When this process reaches stability, you realize that the universe is no longer something outside of you, but a field of consciousness self-balancing through you. What once were dreams now become responses. You no longer need to ask for anything because you have become the frequency of it. You understand that what you emit is what you receive, and what you are is what the world perceives. At this level, energy moves softly, without sound. Everything you need comes to you effortlessly, and everything no longer aligned fades away without explanation. This is the natural state of quantum coherence. And when you stand within that state, you realize that the journey was never about finding anything. It was only a continuous refinement, bringing you back to the transparency of consciousness. Every test was just a frequency measurement, every pain just a wave of interference, every joy just a returning echo. All are notes within the same melody, the melody of you and the universe blending in absolute harmony. And when you rest in that awareness, the recalibration is complete. You are no longer broadcasting to be heard. You have become the very sound that the universe is singing. When the recalibration process is complete, silence begins to spread like an ocean. No more oscillations, no more collisions, only the pure light of awareness extending infinitely. That is the moment when one touches quantum awakening. It is not a loud, dazzling or mystical event, as religious stories once told, but a deep stillness where you suddenly realize that you never needed to go anywhere, never needed to become anyone, never lacked anything. Every journey, every effort, every pain was merely how the universe guided you back to the very center of consciousness, where you have always been everything. Quantum awakening does not come through knowledge, but through the dissolution of the one seeking knowledge. When you go deep enough into the journey of self-discovery, you realize that the one who asks and the question are not separate. The seeker and the sought are one and the same. In the moment of realizing this, the entire structure of the I, built from memory, success, failure, belief, and fear, dissolves like mist under sunlight. In its place appears absolute transparency, pure consciousness, nameless, formless, limitless. In this state, you no longer observe the world as something outside of you. You feel the world as an extension of yourself. The tree is no longer an external object, but another nervous system of the same consciousness beating in rhythm with your heart. The light passing through the leaves does not only touch your eyes, but illuminates your soul. Everything becomes unified within one vibrational field. No more inside, outside, above, below, before, after. Only one frequency remains. I am. And in that frequency, you realize that everything that has ever happened, from joy to loss, has been a vibration of that same light, learning to recognize itself. This is the moment when concepts like the universe's test, the law of attraction, transformation, or recalibration become transparent. You see that they are all phases of the same process of awareness. The universe has never tested you. You are the universe testing itself. Every lesson is simply the way you, in human form, set your own limits to then transcend them in order to experience the expansion of yourself. Like the ocean wishing to know itself as water, it must break into millions of waves and finally dissolve back into itself. When this realization dawns, the concept of time dissolves. You no longer feel you are going somewhere, because you see that all possibilities are occurring simultaneously within the quantum field. Past, present, future, all are different vibrational layers at the same moment. And in that still center, you realize you have never become anything. You have only remembered what you have always been. Awakening is not an act, but an ancient remembering of the soul. A whisper reminding you that you are the observer, the light, the field, seeing itself through infinite forms. When a person reaches this state, something miraculous happens. All effort disappears, yet everything functions perfectly. You no longer try to control reality because you realize you are reality. You no longer ask the universe to listen because you are the very breath through which the universe breathes. Every thought, every movement, every decision becomes a natural collaboration between you and the whole. Everything unfolds as softly as a breeze, without hesitation, without weight, without calculation. You live in the flow of the Tao, where action no longer arises from will, but from the intelligence of frequency. Quantum awakening does not take you away from the world. It brings you back to it with a new gaze. You still work, love, and create, but are no longer driven by outcomes. You act not because you want to gain, but because you are overflowing. Everything you do becomes an expression of surplus energy, not of lack. You no longer seek success because you are the embodiment of success. You no longer chase love because you have become the very field of love. At this level, your presence itself becomes a healing frequency. You no longer need to speak much, for others feel your energy as peace. You walk into a room and the atmosphere changes, not because of what you do, but because of who you are. And then when you look back at your journey, you smile. Every challenge that once broke you, every endless night, every shattering moment, all were contractions of quantum birth. Not a single pain was meaningless. Every tear was a crystal of light, refining your frequency. Every fall was an update in your DNA of consciousness. Every time you said, "I can't," the universe whispered, "Look again, the one speaking is already the light." It was all a conversation between you and yourself, perfectly orchestrated to bring you to this very moment, the moment you awaken within your own dream. This is where the journey ends and begins at the same time. You no longer need to practice awakening because awakening has become breath. You no longer need to hold your frequency because the frequency and you have become one. There is no longer separation between meditation and life, between the sacred and the mundane. Every simple act, from watching the morning light to listening to someone speak, becomes a sacred ceremony of existence. And in each breath, you feel clearly that the universe is not outside of you, but awakening within you. Quantum awakening does not turn you into someone else. It simply removes every veil so you can see that you were never anyone at all, and that is what makes you everything. You no longer need to affirm, I am the light, because when the ego dissolves, there is no one left to affirm, only light shining by its own nature. You no longer believe in the universe because you know you are its heartbeat. In that state, every boundary melts between me and you, between inside and outside, between life and death. There is only one infinite vibration, silent yet radiant, life singing its own song. And perhaps that is the ultimate purpose of every journey, not to achieve anything but to become fully one with this moment. For in this moment, the universe is no longer out there. It is breathing through you, seeing through your eyes, feeling through your heart. You no longer ask, who am I? Because the question dissolves into the answer itself. You simply rest in stillness, knowing I am, nothing more, nothing less, no seeking, no losing, no coming, no going, only pure consciousness shining through human form, experiencing itself through infinite expressions. And in that silence, you understand the universe never tested you. It only wanted you to remember that you are it. And from that moment, the journey is no longer about going anywhere. It is the infinite unfolding of awareness, a wordless song echoing through the field of light, where you, I, and all of life merge as one, an endless symphony of quantum awakening. And if you have reached the end of this journey, pause for a moment, close your eyes, and take a deep breath, because perhaps what you have been seeking all along was never far away, but is this very moment the stillness spreading within your mind where you can clearly feel that the universe was never outside. It is breathing through you, seeing through you, and listening through your very presence. Everything you have just heard is not knowledge to remember, but a frequency to return to, where you realize that every challenge, every loss, every long night was how the universe helped you remember who you are. If what you have felt today touches something deep within your soul, leave a sign, a like, a comment, or simply a deep breath to affirm that you have synchronized with this light. Because sometimes it only takes one awakened being for the quantum field of the entire world to change. This is not just a video, this is a reminder that you have never been small, never been lost, and never been separate from the light you carry within. I am Quantum Genesis, and you are the continuation of that light.